Walking Dead has a lot of deaths in it. I mean, at least a third of all content if the name of the show is anything to go by, and it comes in many forms. Zombies, diseases, starvation, and possibly the most harrowing, from other humans. Now, we could all be sad about losing our favourite characters, but let's take a walk down Positivity Parade and take a look at some of the best of these life-ending encounters. Because why the chuff not? Oh, and I would say spoilers, but you've clicked on the list anyway, so you probably know what you're getting into. With this in mind, I'm Jules from WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 best deaths from The Walking Dead. Number 10. Gareth. Gareth was the head of the Hunters, who almost killed Rick, Daryl, and others at Terminus back in Season 5 before getting what he deserved. In the church, Rick and the group kill some of Gareth's men and then shoot his fingers off before coming out of the shadows and making the men kneel. Gareth tries to get Rick to let them go, but instead, a brutal mass killing begins as Rick cuts the hell out of Gareth with his machete. And while that's going on, Sasha brutally kills Martin and Abraham smashes the other hunter's face to bits with the butt of his gun. During the killings, Glenn and Maggie stay back, shocked by their berserk friends, and we're right there with them. Number 9. Noah. You remember Nicholas? Damn, that guy sucked. This was very clear in the revolving door scene where, to save himself, he ruins Glenn and Noah's chances to escape. Nicholas pushes himself out of the door, which opens on Noah's side, allowing walkers to pull him away. Not that shocking, right? Well, moments after the walkers pulled him away, they push him right up against the revolving glass of the door, and Glenn on the other side watches as the walkers literally tear him apart. There's a whole lot of blood in this one, as the walkers pull Noah's face to bits in front of us. After the first-hand viewing of Noah's death, Glenn and the audience are left pretty traumatized. Number 8. Denise. Denise is out on a supply run with Daryl and Rosita, and as they start heading back, Denise starts to make this emotional speech about how she wants to be stronger, and that how she shouldn't be afraid to tell her romance buddy Tara that she actually loves her. She goes on and on about how strong Rosita and Daryl are and how she wants to sort her shit out and face her feelings, but as she's still trying to get her point across, she takes an arrow through the eye and dies. It's extremely shocking, especially when she carries on talking, but that makes the death all the more better. Number 7. Joe. This scene is full of suspense, and it's pretty sick to watch. Joe holds a gun to Rick's head while he orders his men to rape and kill Carl and Michonne. Rick struggles as a big, gross guy beats up Carl and attempts to violate him. Michonne tries to fight back, and Carl's struggling moans make the scene feel like it's dragging on for ages. Finally, though, Joe picks up Rick, which turns out to be a huge mistake. Unable to move his hands, Rick viciously bites off a piece of Joe's neck and lets him bleed to death. Daryl and Michonne then turn the tables on the rest of Joe's men, and Rick personally runs his knife up through the guy who was hitting Carl. It's an extremely graphic and extremely tense scene. Number 6. Laurie. It's fair to say that opinion on Laurie up until her death was pretty mixed, but her death scene itself was nonetheless a very touching one, especially for Carl. In the prison during a zombie attack of all times, Laurie suffers complications with the birth of Judith and has Maggie perform a C-section to get the baby out. Laurie dies during the operation, but the baby survives. Then, even though Maggie tries to stop him, a crying Carl insists that he should be the one to put a bullet in his mother before she turns. Although not extremely graphic, this scene was powerful in a different way, marking Carl's path to adulthood in this new violent world while also now giving us Judith, another person to protect. Number 5. Shane. Shane was a grade A asshole, and even though back then Rick wasn't the badass leader he is today, we knew that he wasn't going to be messed with forever. Shane was sleeping with Rick's wife, being overly aggressive and starting to go crazy, which is kind of the behaviour that tends to get you very much killed on The Walking Dead. So in Season 2, Rick and Shane walked out to a field, had an argument about who was better for Laurie, and when it seemed that Rick might be killed, he turned the tables and stabbed Shane. It wasn't long though before Shane came back as a walker, only to be killed again, which kinda makes it a double kill and therefore double the satisfaction. Number 4. The Governor. Before Negan turned up, the Governor was Rick's biggest foe, a very intelligent, influential, yet deeply insane leader. In order to take the group down, he brought an entire army plus a tank with him to storm the prison. In his dying scene, he's got Rick on the ground and is continuously punching his already wrecked face and choking him. Suspense builds and boom, Michonne sticks her sword right through his chest. He lies there on the grass, blood coming out of his mouth, and then Lily shows up and shoots him in the face. After a season and a half of him terrorizing our heroes, this one definitely had a Joffrey level of satisfaction about it. Number 3. Sam and Jesse. Now, the idea of wearing gore-covered clothes in the summer heat probably doesn't appeal to many, but if it's the one thing that's going to stop you from being eaten alive, then slather me up, son, I'm not going down like that. Sam, on the other hand, had a few issues with this and ends up calling a load of walkers to the group with his whining. This results in him turning into a human Pop-Tart and also leading his mother Jessie to also attend the bitey party. Rick gets all teary and starts having flashbacks of his time with Jessie, but this soon turns from lamentful to let's have your arm off, mate, because she won't let go of Carl. It's a scene brimming with violence, sadness, and gore, which in our books makes it pretty top-notch. Number 2. Herschel. Herschel was the wise old man of the group and a great mentor to Rick with his sage advice. He also had a cracking beard. For these reasons, his death at the hands of the governor make it one of the most unpleasant in the show so far. The setting and playing out of the scene made it even worse. The governor comes to the prison gates and put Michonne's sword to Herschel's neck. Rick then comes down and in a touching speech attempts to stop all the violence so that no one else dies. Soothing music plays in the background, and as Rick and him talk for a second, it seems like the governor might be willing to walk away. Herschel then smiles and the governor draws his sword away, but then he calls Rick a liar and cuts through half of Herschel's head. It's a masterful and devastating death in The Walking Dead. And number 1, Glenn and Abraham. These two deaths, which get equal placing because they occurred right after one another, were by no means enjoyed by fans, but the suspense that carried from the Season 6 finale all the way to the Season 7 premiere really set the stage for the most shocking deaths on The Walking Dead so far. What brought things to a peak was the repetitive, violent bashing of Glenn and Abraham's head by Negan's baseball bat Lucille. And the fact that the group included Maggie and Sasha, who were right there watching, made things all the more intense and devastating. Oh, bollocks, we ended on a sad note after all these deaths. I was trying to stay positive for once. I mean, just show some of the group laughing or something. Just look at them. Oh, there we go. All better. And that's our list. Got any more deaths from The Walking Dead which shocked you to your core? Well, let me know about them in the comments section below. And why not swing by whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. You can follow us on Twitter here, and as always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon.